I found a second phone in my wife's gym bag. It was full of messages from someone named Tina, her secret lover. What shocked me wasn't just the affair. It was who Tina really was. After that, everything just fell apart, faster than I ever expected. I'm Alex, 34, married to Lisa for 8 years. We always looked like the perfect couple to everyone else. Lately, though, something changed. Lisa started acting different, distant, always on her phone, but hiding it from me. She worked late a lot more than before. I tried to ignore it at first, told myself it was just stress or work stuff. But the feeling that something was wrong kept growing. I didn't want to believe it, so I didn't say anything. Then one night, I found a second phone hidden in her jacket pocket. I wasn't sure if I should look at it, but I did. What I saw there broke something inside me. I still don't know how to explain it, but it's like my whole world shifted in that moment. I was cleaning up the bedroom, just trying to get the place in order before Lisa got home. She had left her gym bag on the floor near the dresser. I figured I'd pack it away so it wasn't cluttering the room. When I unzipped it, I noticed something strange, a phone I didn't recognize, tucked under her towel. It was unlocked, and my eyes caught the screen right away. I stared at the messages, the kind you don't expect to see from your partner. They were with someone named Tina. I don't even know anyone named Tina. The texts weren't casual at all. They were full of things you only say when you're way beyond just friends. The words were explicit. They talked about meeting up, about how much Lisa missed her, about private moments I never shared with Lisa. My hands shook a little as I scrolled through. I felt the air leave my lungs. I couldn't believe it. I kept telling myself maybe it was a mistake, maybe there was some explanation. But the messages left no room for doubt. Lisa wasn't just chatting or having a fling. This was something serious, something ongoing. The tone wasn't playful or casual. It was intense, almost desperate at times. I read one line where Lisa said, "I wish you were here right now." Another where Tina replied, "Soon, I promise." I sat down on the bed, the weight of what I'd found pressing down on me. My heart sank deeper with every message I read. I tried to think about how I didn't see any signs before. Lisa was quiet lately, sure, but I thought it was stress from work or something else. Now, every little thing seemed like a clue I'd missed. The late nights, the secretive phone use, the sudden coldness. It all made a kind of twisted sense, but it hurt just the same. I kept glancing at the phone, like hoping the screen would change or the messages would disappear. But they didn't. The last message was from Lisa, saying, "I can't wait to be with you again." Who was this Tina? Why had Lisa never told me? I felt a mix of anger and confusion swirling inside me. I wanted to throw the phone across the room, but I was too frozen to move. I thought about calling Lisa right then and there, but my voice felt stuck. I didn't know how to start that conversation. I wasn't even sure what I wanted to say. Was I angry? Hurt? Betrayed? All of it at once. The silence in the room was loud. I could almost hear my own breathing, heavy and uneven. I put the phone back where I found it, careful not to erase anything. I didn't want to lose this proof, even if I wished I never saw it. I wanted to believe there was some reason, some explanation that would make this less painful. But deep down, I didn't think there was. I sat there for a long time, staring at the wall, trying to hold myself together. I thought maybe if I stayed quiet, if I didn't react, I could figure out what to do next. But the question kept echoing in my mind. Who is Tina? And how long has this been going on? The room felt colder than before. I thought it was over. But the silence that followed said otherwise. That night, I waited until Lisa was in the kitchen, making dinner or something. I didn't want to yell in front of the kids or make a scene right away. When she was there, I pulled out the phone and put it on the counter between us. The screen was still lit up, showing the messages from Tina. I said, "Who's Tina?" My voice was calm but firm. I wanted to see how she'd react. Her eyes got wide for a second, like she was caught off guard. But then she blinked and looked away, like she was trying to find the right words fast. "She's just a friend," Lisa said, her voice steady. "Those messages? They're just jokes. Nothing serious." I stared at her. The way she said it didn't feel right. I asked, "Jokes? Like what?" "The way she calls you babe and talks about meeting up after work." My throat was tight, but I kept my voice even. Lisa shrugged and leaned against the counter, crossing her arms. "Look, you're reading too much into it. You always do when you don't feel good about something." I pressed again. "So what? You just joke around like that with other guys? You don't think it's weird?" She shook her head, but I saw the flash of something in her eyes. Maybe guilt or maybe just impatience. "It's nothing, okay? Just messages. You're making it a big deal. I felt my hands clench into fists, but I kept them on the counter. The kitchen was quiet except for the hum of the fridge. I could see her trying to keep her cool, but the tension in the air was thick. I wanted her to tell me the truth, but she wasn't giving it. Why didn't you tell me about her? I asked softly. Lisa looked away again, biting her lip. Because it's not important. She's just a coworker. I didn't want to worry you. That didn't sound like the full truth. I could feel it in my gut. Her eyes darted back to the phone. You're overreacting, she added quickly. Seriously, we don't have anything going on. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to trust her. But the way she was dodging my questions made me doubt everything. There was something she wasn't saying. I tried to keep my voice steady. If she's just a friend, why all the late-night texts? Why the secret name? Lisa's jaw tightened. I don't know. We just joke around. That's all. I shook my head. I don't think you're telling me the whole story. She snapped. Why do you always have to dig so much? Can't you just trust me for once? Her words hit harder than I expected. I didn't want to fight. I wanted answers. But she was closing off. I looked back at the phone, then at her. The silence stretched. I could feel the weight of it pressing down on both of us. Finally, I said, I'm not trying to accuse you. I just want to know the truth. Lisa's eyes softened for a moment, but then she looked away again. There is no other truth. I wanted to believe her. I really did. But the doubt was there now, thick and heavy. I stepped back, needing space. Okay, I said quietly. I'll leave it for now. She nodded, but the tension didn't go away. We both stood there, avoiding each other's eyes. I thought it was over. But the silence that followed said otherwise. I couldn't get the image of Tina out of my head. It nagged at me all day, like a weight sitting on my chest. I kept replaying every conversation, every time Lisa mentioned her, trying to catch anything I'd missed. But nothing made sense. Why would she lie about someone so close? I needed to know the truth. That night, I sat down with my phone, scrolling through Lisa's social media. I wasn't proud of invading her privacy, but I felt cornered. I typed Tina into the search bar, hoping for a clue. What I found didn't just confuse me. It tore open a whole new layer I wasn't ready for. Tina wasn't a she at all. The photos, the posts, they belonged to Tim, someone I'd known for years. A family friend. Someone I trusted. My heart stopped for a second. I stared at the screen, trying to make sense of it. Tim, with his easy smile and quiet way of slipping into every family gathering. How could I have missed this? How could Lisa have kept this hidden for so long? I felt cold, like the floor had disappeared beneath me. I paced the room, phone still in hand, thinking about every moment I'd shared with Lisa and Tim. They always seemed friendly, but nothing ever felt off before. I wanted to believe it was a mistake, some kind of weird coincidence. But deep down, I knew it wasn't. The next day, I confronted Lisa again. I must have sounded desperate, maybe even angry, but I kept my voice steady. I told her I knew about Tim, about Tina, and I wanted her to be honest with me. At first, she froze. Then she looked away, biting her lip like she was trying to stop herself from crying. Finally, she spoke. It's true, she said quietly. Tim and I, we've been seeing each other for over a year. The words hit me harder than I expected. Over a year. The time she'd been lying to me, hiding everything right under my nose. She tried to explain, saying it started when I was working late all the time, when we stopped talking the way we used to. She said she didn't mean for it to happen, but it did. And she was sorry. I wanted to scream, to ask why, but all I could do was sit there and listen. There was silence between us after that. A heavy kind of quiet that filled the room with things neither of us could say. I looked at her, really looked, and saw the guilt in her eyes. But I also saw something else. Fear, maybe. Fear of losing what was left. I wanted to ask more, to know how long it had been going on, what it meant for us. But the words caught in my throat. Instead, I just nodded and left the room. I needed space to think, to breathe. Walking away felt like stepping out into a cold wind. My mind was spinning with questions, doubts, and the weight of betrayal. How could this have happened without me noticing? How long had she been lying? And what did that mean for us now? I thought it was over. But the silence that followed said otherwise. I didn't know what to do with myself after I found out. I just grabbed my coat and left without saying much. The house felt too loud, too empty all at once. I needed someone who wouldn't judge me or look at me like I was breaking apart. So I called Jack, my brother. He picked up on the second ring. Hey, what's up? He said, his voice normal, like nothing was wrong. But I could hear something in his tone, like he knew this wasn't just a casual call. "I need to see you," I said before I could stop myself. Jack didn't ask questions. He just said, "Okay, I'm at that cafe on Main. Come quick." I got there in less than 10 minutes. The place was almost empty. A couple of people typing away on laptops, a barista wiping down tables. Jack was already at a corner table, arms folded, waiting. I sat down and didn't say anything right away. My hands were shaking, and I could feel my heart thudding like it might burst. Jack watched me silently for a moment. Then I started talking. I told him everything. The texts, the lies. How I found out she was seeing someone else. Jack's face changed. His eyebrows pulled together, and his mouth pressed into a thin line. "Damn," he said softly. "That's messed up." I nodded. "I don't even know how long this has been going on. It feels like everything was a lie. And the worst part? I don't know if anyone else knows." Jack leaned back and rubbed his face. "Do you think someone else might know? Friends? Family? Someone at work?" I swallowed hard. "I don't know. I want to believe it's just between them, but I'm scared it's bigger than that." He sighed. "You need to find out. You deserve to know the whole truth." I looked at him, grateful for the calm in his voice. "But what if I find out more? What if this isn't just a one-time thing? What if she's been planning this all along?" Jack shrugged. "Better to know now than keep pretending, right? You're not alone in this. I'll help you figure it out." That was the first time since everything exploded that I felt a flicker of something besides numbness. Maybe it was relief, or maybe just the fact that I wasn't carrying this alone anymore. We ordered coffee and sat there in silence for a bit. I stared out the window, watching people pass by, normal, unaware. My mind kept circling back to the same question. Who else knew about this? Jack broke the silence. "You want me to ask around? See if anyone's noticed anything weird?" I shook my head. "No, I want to do this carefully. I need to be sure first. If I confront her without proof, it could blow up in my face." He nodded. "Makes sense. So what's the plan?" I didn't have one yet. I just knew I couldn't go back home tonight and pretend everything was okay. Not after what I found out. Jack reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "Whatever happens, I'm here." I looked at him and gave a small, tired smile. It wasn't much, but it was enough for now. We left the cafe together, walking slowly down the street. The night was quiet, but inside, my head was spinning. I kept thinking about her, about the lies, about the people who might have known and never told me. I thought it was over, but the silence that followed said otherwise. I got home late that night, still carrying the weight of what I'd overheard earlier. The apartment was quiet, just the hum of the fridge and the soft ticking of the clock. I sat down at my laptop, hands shaking a little, not sure what I was looking for exactly. I started digging through old emails, the ones I'd never bothered to check before. Mostly bills and work stuff. But then I found something else, flight confirmations. Paris, twice last year, and once more this year. Each time, Lisa had said it was a work trip. I stared at the screen for a long moment, heart tightening. The dates matched times when she'd said she'd be swamped with meetings. But these flights weren't cheap or quick. They were weekend trips. Just long enough for a getaway, not a conference. I felt my throat tighten. I opened the next email. Hotel bookings, dinners, tickets to shows. All under Lisa's name, but the details were clear enough. None mentioned any work events. They were clearly for leisure. I kept scrolling and found messages between Lisa and a guy named Tim. The tone was casual, even flirty. I didn't need to read all of it to understand. I closed the laptop with a sharp snap and waited. When Lisa came home, I was sitting at the kitchen table, the emails still glowing on the screen. She looked tired, but there was something else in her eyes when she saw me. I didn't say anything at first, just showed her the screen. "What's this?" I asked quietly. She sighed, ran a hand through her hair, and sat down across from me. "I was going to tell you," she said. "I didn't want to hurt you." I leaned forward, voice low but steady. "Who is Tim, Lisa? And why are you flying to Paris with him?" She looked away for a moment, then back at me with a shaky breath. It's not just a fling. We've been seeing each other for a while." I blinked, the words hitting like a punch. "How long?" "Since last year," she admitted. "Some of those trips were romantic. I didn't want you to find out like this." I felt my chest tighten, anger bubbling up, but also something deeper, betrayal, confusion. I'd trusted her. We built our life around honesty. And here it was, tearing apart in front of me. "Why?" I asked, voice barely above a whisper. "Why, Tim? Why Lot?" She looked at me, eyes watery but steady. "I don't know. I thought I loved you. But something was missing. Tim made me feel alive again. I wanted to scream, to ask 1,000 questions, but I just sat there, trying to keep myself together. The room felt smaller, the air heavier. I realized this affair wasn't just a moment of weakness. It was something she'd let grow, something she chose to keep hidden. I asked, "How serious is this? How much of our life is a lie?" She hesitated, then said quietly, "I don't know. I'm scared too." The silence that followed was thick. I looked at her, really looked, for the first time in months. The woman I thought I knew was a stranger now. We were both stuck in a place neither of us wanted to be. I wanted answers, but I wasn't sure if I was ready to hear them all. The betrayal was raw, but beneath it, there was a fragile thread of something else. Regret, maybe, or fear of losing what we had. I thought it was over, but the silence that followed said otherwise. I woke up that morning with a tight feeling in my chest. I didn't want to get out of bed, but I knew I had to. There was no more pretending, no more lying to myself that things could just go back to the way they were. I got up, packed my bag slowly, like each item was a reminder of what I was leaving behind. Clothes, toothbrush, some books. I didn't take much. Jack's place was a few blocks away, and I wasn't sure how long I'd be there. I just knew I couldn't stay here one more second. I kept glancing at my phone, half expecting a message from Lisa. I didn't want to see her name pop up. I didn't want to answer if she called. But part of me was also waiting, scared of what she might say or do when she found out I was leaving. That made my hands shake. On my way out the door, I looked around the apartment one last time. The silence was heavy, like it was pressing on me. I didn't say goodbye to anything or anyone. I just walked out, closing the door softly behind me. No turning back. At Jack's, I sat down and finally called a lawyer. I had never thought I'd be in this position, but I needed to know what my options were. The voice on the other end was calm and professional. I told them everything, leaving out nothing. I explained how complicated things had gotten, how I wanted to separate legally and protect myself. The lawyer asked for details about our finances, the lease, everything that tied me to Lisa. I answered as best as I could, feeling more real with every word. After the call, I felt a strange mix of relief and dread. Relief because I was finally taking control, doing something concrete. But dread because this was really happening. I was dismantling a life I once thought was solid. I sat there quietly, staring at the phone. The silence was loud. I didn't want to think about what Lisa would do next. Would she beg me to stay? Would she get angry? Or worse, would she disappear without a word? Jack didn't say much when I told him I was staying for a while. He didn't ask too many questions, just handed me a glass of water and nodded like he understood without needing details. That quiet support helped a little. I felt less alone, even if everything else was falling apart. At night, I lay on the couch, the bag still by my side. My mind kept replaying the moments with Lisa, the fights, the silences, the things left unsaid. I wondered if she even realized how serious this was now. I knew I couldn't go back, but part of me still hoped she'd try to fix things. That hope felt weak and foolish, but it was there. I checked my phone again before falling asleep. No messages, no missed calls, just the dark screen staring back at me. I thought it was over, but the silence that followed said otherwise. I sat on the edge of the couch, the papers folded neatly in my hand. Lisa was across from me, eyes wide and searching. The room felt smaller than it should, like the walls were closing in with every breath. I didn't want to say much. I just slid the papers across the coffee table toward her. She looked down at them, then back up at me. "What is this?" Her voice was shaky, barely above a whisper. "It's the separation papers," I said. My voice was calm, but firm. "I can't keep doing this, Lisa. Not after everything that's happened." She swallowed hard, her lips trembling. "I don't understand. I didn't want it to get this far. I'm so confused." Her eyes filled with tears, and she reached out as if to take my hand, but hesitated. I pulled my hand back without looking at her. "You should have thought about that before." The words felt heavy when they left my mouth, but I meant them. I needed to protect myself. This wasn't just about hurt feelings anymore. It was about trust, and that was broken beyond repair. Lisa's voice cracked as she said, "Can't we just talk about this? Work through it? Please." There was desperation there, but also something I didn't recognize anymore. Maybe it was the distance that had grown between us, the part of her I never really knew. I shook my head slowly. "I've tried. More than you know. But this isn't just confusion. It's betrayal. And I can't live like this." The room was quiet except for the soft hum of the heater and the faint sound of cars outside. She looked away, biting her lip. I didn't mean to hurt you, she whispered. Intentions don't change what happened, I said without bitterness, just stating facts. I could see the pain in her face, but I couldn't let it sway me. Not now. The silence stretched. Then she stood up abruptly, pacing the room. This isn't how I imagined it ending, she said, voice breaking. I thought we had more time. I thought we could fix it. Me too, I admitted. But sometimes wanting something isn't enough. She stopped and looked at me, eyes shining with tears. So this is it. I nodded. It has to be. She sank back down onto the couch, folding her hands tightly in her lap. The fight had drained out of her. I felt a mix of sadness and relief. Sadness because this was the end of something I cared about. Relief because the constant tension was over. I stood up and walked toward the door. Lisa didn't move. I hesitated for a moment, then said, I'm going to bed. She didn't respond. I closed the door behind me softly. The sound echoed in the quiet house. Lying in bed, I stared at the ceiling. The papers were on the kitchen table now, waiting for her signature. I kept thinking about what our life had been and what it might become. The thought was both terrifying and, in a strange way, freeing. I thought it was over. But the silence that followed said otherwise. I never thought I'd find myself here, living with Jack, sorting through the mess Lisa left behind. It's been 2 months since I packed up and walked out. The house feels different now, too quiet, but not in a good way. Lisa moved in with Tim, and I guess that's supposed to make it easier, but it doesn't. It just feels like a constant reminder. Jack's been steady through all of this. He's not the type to say much, but he shows up, helps with the little things around the apartment, listens when I need to talk, or just sits with me when I don't. I didn't expect that kind of support, not after everything. We're not a couple or anything, just people who get it. Sometimes that's enough. Our friends, though, some of them took it pretty hard. Others acted like they had no idea anything was wrong. I heard through the grapevine that some were shocked, like they never saw it coming. I guess I didn't either, not really. But the truth is, I always had this nagging feeling, something off in the way Lisa and I talked, or didn't talk. The trust we had is broken, and honestly, I don't know if it's ever coming back. The divorce process is slow. Paperwork, meetings with lawyers, trying not to get pulled into fights over things that don't matter anymore. We're just ticking boxes, but it feels like dragging a heavy chain behind me. Some days, I think about how different things could have been if she'd told me the truth earlier. Maybe we could have fixed something, or maybe I'm just fooling myself. I'm trying to rebuild, piece by piece. I've started going back to the gym. It helps clear my head, even if I'm just tired at the end of the day. I've been reading more, something I stopped doing when everything got too loud. Jack suggested it once, said it might help me focus on something outside the chaos. It does. The hardest part is the silence. When I'm alone at home, it hits me how much I miss parts of what we had. Not Lisa, not who she became, but the idea of us before all this. I catch myself wanting to call her, or maybe just hear her voice, but I don't. I know that's not an option anymore. At work, people have started to notice. Some ask if I'm okay, others avoid the topic altogether. I don't blame them. It's awkward. I don't want pity, but I also don't want to pretend everything's fine. I'm somewhere in the middle, I guess. Jack and I have settled into a routine. It's strange living with someone who knows parts of the story but doesn't judge. Sometimes we talk late into the night. Other times, we just sit on the couch in silence. It's comfortable, even if it's not what I imagine my life would look like now. I still get moments where I wonder if I made the right choice. The guilt creeps in, especially when I think about how Lisa must be feeling. But then I remember the secrets, the lies that pulled us apart. That helps me stay grounded. Our mutual friends have been a mixed bag. Some have drifted away, probably because they didn't want to take sides. Others have come closer, maybe because they see me struggling but still standing. It's strange how people reveal themselves in times like this. The trust one had in Lisa feels like it shattered into 1,000 pieces. I don't know if it's ever going to be whole again, but I'm learning to trust myself, bit by bit, to listen to my own voice instead of the one I used to hear from her. I haven't talked to Lisa since the separation, and I don't plan to. I think she moved on quicker than I expected, and part of me feels left behind. But I'm trying not to let that define me. Sometimes, late at night, I catch myself thinking about what's next. Not just the divorce, but life after all this. It's scary to imagine, but also a little hopeful. I'm still figuring it out. I thought leaving would be the hardest part, but the silence that followed said otherwise. Right now, I'm living with my brother. It's quieter here, and honestly, it feels safer. I've thrown myself into work and trying to fix the parts of me I let break. Lisa's with Tim, or so I've heard. I haven't reached out to her. I couldn't. Not after everything. The betrayal hit hard. It felt like everything I believed in just vanished in a moment. But what's strange is how I'm still here. I'm still standing. Maybe because I realized something important. No matter what, I have to respect myself first. If someone breaks that trust, no matter the history, walking away is the only way to keep what's left of me. Healing isn't clean or fast. Some days it feels like I'm moving forward, and other days it's like I'm stuck in the same place. But I'm learning to live with that. I'm trying not to let the past define me or let the pain control my choices anymore. I won't say I'm okay yet. That would be a lie. But I'm getting there. And for the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm the one deciding what comes next. The silence after everything didn't end. It just changed. And maybe that's enough for now. Looking back, I see now that trust really is the base for everything in a relationship. Without it, nothing feels solid or safe. If you're dealing with something like this, I can't stress enough how important it is to face it directly. Don't let doubts pile up in your head until they explode. Talk about what's bothering you, even if it feels uncomfortable or scary. I know it's tempting to ignore little warning signs or pretend everything's fine. I did that too. But those red flags are there for a reason. They're your gut telling you something's off. Trust that feeling. It's better to deal with the truth, even when it hurts, than to live in confusion or lies. Life's too short to settle for less than honesty and respect. You deserve that, plain and simple. If someone can't give you those things, you need to rethink your place in that relationship. It's not about blaming yourself or the other person. It's about knowing your worth and standing up for it. I'm still working through everything myself. But sharing this feels like the first step to moving on and not carrying this weight anymore. If you're going through something similar, please don't ignore it. Face it. Talk. Decide what you truly need. Because in the end, the only way to find peace is to be honest with yourself and those around you.